Alright guys, today we have some very exciting PlayStation news and information to go over and talk about. Sony decided to talk more about their next generation VR system for PlayStation 5, this time specifically focusing on the new controllers, and they pretty much laid everything out on the table here, including what they're going to look like. So we're going to talk about that. Sony is also continuing with their Play at Home initiative, giving away 10 free games that PlayStation owners, whether you are subscribed to PlayStation Plus or not, can keep forever, which is awesome. And I also want to talk a little bit about how Spider-Man Miles Morales is performing, because it has actually hit the #1 spot for the first time. So this game is proving to really have some legs on it. And then finally, we're going to talk about a new game that has been making some waves recently, catching some attention that could be making its way to PlayStation 5 in the future. So before we dive into it, if you could do me a big favor and hit the like button to help the video out and show it your support, I'd really appreciate that. And make sure you hit the subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel. But starting here with the next generation VR controllers for PlayStation 5, Sony put out a blog post today detailing them. And it says, following the recent reveal of our next generation virtual reality system for PS5, I'm excited to unveil more details about the new controller that will play a critical role in providing gamers with the VR experience we are working to deliver. Our new VR controller speaks to our mission of achieving a much deeper sense of presence and stronger feeling of immersion in VR experiences. It will build upon the innovation we introduced with the DualSense wireless controller, which changed how games feel on PS5 by unlocking a new way to tap into the sense of touch. Now we are bringing that innovation to VR gaming. That does sound pretty exciting. So it talks about the design, and Sony says the first thing you'll notice with our next-gen VR controller is the unique design, which takes on an orb shape that allows you to hold the controller naturally while playing with a high degree of freedom. There were no constraints with how you are moving your hands, providing developers with the ability to create unique gameplay experiences. We also designed the new controller with great ergonomics in mind, so it's well balanced and comfortable to hold in each of your hands. We applied learnings from testing users with a range of hand sizes, as well as the decades of insights from controllers across all PlayStation platforms. The result is an iconic design that will change how VR games are played. And so I'll obviously put some images up here so you can see the design for yourself. And I have to say, I do really like the design. It looks significantly better than what we saw with the PlayStation Move controllers. And I just overall like what they're doing here. Obviously, I won't be able to know for sure just how ergonomic and how comfortable it is until I feel it for myself. But based off of what I'm seeing here, it certainly looks like it has the potential to be the most comfortable VR controller maybe ever made. I have a lot of faith in Sony considering what they did with the DualSense. And now Sony is talking about the features of their new VR controller. And so they continue by saying the new VR controller enables players to feel and interact with games in a much more visceral way. There are several features, including key features from the DualSense controller, which match our vision for what next-gen VR games can be. So they're starting by talking about adaptive triggers. Each VR controller, left and right, includes an adaptive trigger button that adds palpable tension when pressed, similar to what's found in the DualSense controller. If you've played a PS5 game, you'll be familiar with the tension in the L2 and R2 buttons when you press them, such as when you're drawing a bow to fire an arrow. When you take that kind of mechanic and apply it to VR, the experience is amplified to the next level. Now, I do believe that because I've had some great experience so far with the adaptive triggers, and it certainly does add another layer of immersion just when playing games regularly, so I would assume it certainly is amplified when you're playing it in VR. Talks about haptic feedback. The new controller will have haptic feedback optimized for its form factor, making every sensation in the game world more impactful, textured, and nuanced. When you're traversing through rocky desert or trading blows in melee combat, you'll feel the difference, magnifying the extraordinary visual and audio experience that's so central to VR. Finger touch detection. The controller can detect your fingers without any pressing in the areas where you place your thumb, index, or middle fingers. This enables you to make more natural gestures with your hands during gameplay. So I have a feeling that that in particular is going to go a long way in adding another layer of immersion. In case you can't tell, this is what Sony is striving for with VR, is not only convenience and comfort, but just really trying to push that extra level of immersion that obviously only VR can offer. It talks about tracking. The VR controller is tracked by the new VR headset through a tracking ring across the bottom of the controller, action buttons and analog sticks. The left controller contains one analog stick, the triangle and square buttons, a grip button L1, trigger button L2, and create button. The right controller contains one analog stick, the cross and circle buttons, a grip button R1, trigger button R2, and options button. The grip button can be used to pick up in-game objects as one example. SIE's product engineering and design teams have collaborated to build our new VR controller from the ground up with a goal of making a huge leap from current gen VR gaming. We're thrilled with the controller we developed, but what matters now is how game creators will take advantage of the features to design the next generation of VR experiences. Prototypes of our new VR controller will be in the hands of the development community soon, and we can't wait to see what ideas they come up with and how the controller helps bring their imagination to life. There's still much more to share about the next generation of VR on PS5. And so on behalf of all of us at SIE, I want to thank you for taking this journey with us. And so that's everything Sony has to say so far about their next gen VR controllers. And I really am liking what Sony is doing here. As someone who didn't really buy into virtual reality up until this point, because to me it just felt like it was too early and I kind of wanted to wait until it was more refined, more advanced. It sounds like that's exactly what PlayStation VR 2 is going to be. And when I hear the way that Sony is implementing the technology that is inside of the DualSense into these new VR controllers, that does get me excited because, as I've said many times, what Sony did with the DualSense truly does add an extra layer of immersion when just playing games regularly. So to think about what that will do when you're playing games in VR, it really does sound like it's going to take things to another level. So at this point, it seems like everything is on track for this VR headset to launch next year. Sony's getting everything out now and just letting us know what we can expect, and that developers are now in the process of creating next-gen VR games. So I will keep you guys updated with everything involving the next iteration of PlayStation VR. But we're going to move on from that and talk about these free games that Sony is giving out to all PlayStation owners. And this is once again delivered to us through the PlayStation blog. It says Play at Home 2021 update, 10 free games to download this spring. Download free indie games and PSVR games starting March 25th, and get ready, PS4 blockbuster Horizon Zero Dawn will be free for a limited time starting April 19th. And I saw a lot of people really getting excited about this because if you think about it, it's a pretty huge move from Sony, right? Like they're just like, hey, here's 10 free games, including one of our biggest first-party titles that we have ever released. I mean, does it really get any better than that? And so to just let you know which games will be available, you're looking at Res Infinite, Abzu, Enter the Gungeon, Subnautica, The Witness, Moss, Astrobot Rescue Mission, Thumper, and Paper Beast. And some of these are PlayStation VR games, such as Moss, Astrobot VR, Paper Beast, and Thumper. Others are regular indie games, and Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, it's worth noting it is the Complete Edition, will be available starting April 19th, and you can grab that for free until May 14th. And it's completely free. You don't need PlayStation VR, and these games are yours to keep forever. Now, one thing I do want to point out here is, well, first of all, this is just an awesome thing for Sony to continue to do, just basically giving people free games on a regular basis. It really, as I said, doesn't get any better than that. But the timing of when they're giving away Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition tells me that we can expect to see more from Horizon Forbidden West in the coming months, because they want to try to get as many people to play this game and to hop on board the Horizon hype train, I guess you could say. And so the timing of it, I think, does indicate that. But I want to move on now and talk about some interesting data that I came across regarding the PlayStation 5. This is reading from VGC, and it says PlayStation 5 has achieved its first #1 game in the UK physical software chart with Spider-Man Miles Morales 4 months after the console launched. According to GfK data, Miles Morales was the best-selling box title in the UK for the week ending March 13th. Although the game is also available on PS4, it would still be #1 based on PS5 sales alone, as PS5 accounted for 90% of this week's total sales. Overall, Miles Morales sales increased 36% week on week, likely on the back of additional PlayStation 5 hardware stock being made available at retailers. The GfK chart does not track digital game sales. Following its release on November 12th, the Insomniac title sold 4.1 million copies by December 31st, 2020, according to Sony. PlayStation 5 boxed game sales have frequently surged in the UK during recent weeks as PS5 consoles become more widespread at retailers, although the hardware is still experiencing immediate sellouts. And so I wanted to point this out for two reasons. First of all, it is yet again another indication that Sony is finding a way to continue to produce these consoles. Granted, it's not in the quantity that everybody is hoping for. People are still having a very hard time finding this console. As I said many times previously, it's going to be a while until that is no longer a problem. But nonetheless, Sony is still getting these consoles out there. And more importantly, you know that they're getting in the hands of actual gamers because they're picking up these games alongside the console. And it just goes to show that people will wait, as I said, to pick up the next-gen version of a game. Just because it's cross-gen, just because it's available on the older console, doesn't mean that's where they're going to play it. And so it seems that Spider-Man Miles Morales is finding a lot of success on the PlayStation 5 specifically, and that just makes me happy, you know, for a game that was at one point really not looked at in the best way. A lot of people were calling it just, you know, an add-on DLC that was overpriced. I think anybody who has actually played it will tell you that it's actually a really great game, and it really does play best on PlayStation 5. I think there is a pretty significant difference. I was blown away by how good the game looked and how well it played on the PS5 when I experienced it. So there you go. Just wanted to give you a little update there. Miles Morales hitting the #1 spot in the UK for the first time. But I'm going to end this video by letting you guys know that apparently there is a new post-apocalyptic horror game called The Day Before that could be making its way to PS5. And I want to specifically talk about this because I've seen this game and it looks really good, and I've seen a lot of excitement generated for this title. Now, there was an interview conducted with the co-founders of the studio and the creators of the game, and they were essentially asked whether or not this game was going to make its way to the current generation of consoles, and this is what they had to say. "We will not be able to port the game to your NES, but we are considering the next-gen consoles. Wait for a special announcement." Now, I know that that's not a significant statement, but I think for a lot of people it actually is because, again, this is a game that just kind of came out of nowhere. A lot of people are really liking what they're seeing of this game so far. And, you know, even for me, somebody who plays on PS5, I'm liking what I'm seeing. And that was my first question is, for as great as this game looks, is it coming to the PlayStation 5? Is it going to be coming to the next-gen consoles? And it sounds like they certainly do have something in the works. They're literally telling us to wait for a special announcement. It seems more than likely that that announcement is that this game, The Day Before, is going to be hitting next-gen consoles. I know I still call it next-gen consoles, even though it's current-gen, but, you know, that's just what's going to happen for a little while. But there you go. That's pretty much everything I have for you guys today. So at this point, I want you to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about everything we discussed here today. Again, leave the video a like if you enjoyed it or found it informative. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.